Hello, good evening. How are you doing? Thanks for joining me. I am putting out a little video. I haven't done one for quite some time. As you've seen from the title, this is actually going to be all my most successful blind buys. It's a really exciting thing to blind buy a fragrance, and often than not, it's not going to work out well because fragrance is so personal. It's not just about the notes. You know, if you love rose, you love raspberry, you love certain notes, you see it all thrown in. You have no idea the quantities, you have no idea how it's going to come about, all the little subtleties that you don't know are in there. It could be overloaded with musks, or it could be, and I'm waffling, I know that, but it's never safe to blind buy anything, and I really don't encourage it. However, I do have quite a few sitting here now with me that are very successful, and some are so successful that I would put them in my top tier of most loved fragrances. I think the amount I've got here is still a very small percentage of all of the ones I've ever blind bought. So it is a real risky thing to do. So just for the purposes of contrast, I did want to just throw in that my first fragrance has been an example of a bad blind buy. Well, it's not a bad fragrance, it's just one that I am going to be selling. So I just thought I'd just throw it in. This is the first fragrance to give an example because, you know, it's not all rosy. Things can't always be successful when you blind buy something, as I pointed out. The company is Argos. I've never tried anything else from Argos, so this was my first ever experience with Argos, and again, obviously bought it blindly. It's a fragrance called Adonis Awakens. This is the box. The box is beautiful, and this image of it's Greek mythology. The image translates onto the bottle, and the bottle is absolutely stunning. This is just a little 30ml, so I thought I'd be safe with a little 30ml. So I bought this. I can't remember where I bought it from now. Actually, it wasn't from the actual it wasn't from the actual brand. It was from a different company. And the packaging is beautiful, but you know, it's not about the packaging. So here we go. Here's how it all opens up. And here's the bottle. So you may have seen these bottles on various channels. I think a popular one from them is the Triumph of Bacchus. Bacchus, is that how you say it? That one sounded lovely. But this one seemed more up my street because it's essentially a rose and raspberry fragrance. It's sort of leaning gourmand. It just sounded really beautiful. It sounded like a really sweet rose raspberry, which is so up my street. And I think that the bottle really pushed me to go ahead and do it. I mean, it's so beautiful, and it's beautiful in life. You know, it looks as pretty in life as on the camera. The reviews on Fragrantica are all pretty positive, and I think it's pretty popular. I think it's seems to be loved by many people. Maybe I'm getting very fussy. On me, the first thing I actually thought was, well, there's a real sweetness. It's a real syrupy sweetness. Now, the notes are all listed on the inside of this box, and they all sound rather fancy, and they all sound of high quality. You've got Mysore sandalwood. You've got Rose Absolute. I know that's actually a very, very expensive material. Oh, but Bulgarian Rose Absolute, Mysore sandalwood. There's some really nice notes in there if you can just about see them. So there's that. Now, I'm not an expert on materials of fragrance, so I really can't comment on what I think should smell good. I can only smell what I smell. And the first thing I thought was it smells like I can smell, I think there's chestnut in here. Did I see that on there? Or was it hazelnut? I can't remember, but you do get a bit of a nut. There is a nuttiness behind the rose, which is very pleasant. There's a really pleasant, real rich, sweet, syrupy, rosy, raspberry quality. But I feel like it's floating on a cloud of either boot polish, furniture polish, or shake and vac. Anyone remember shake and vac? Used to throw on the carpet. There's something like that, which is dominating it for me. I don't know what's causing that, but it makes it seem a bit cheap. It makes it seem like it's a household product that's just nicely scented. And I'm not enjoying it. I almost was going to keep it because I thought, well, it's a little bottle, it's really sweet, it's only 30ml, I'm sure I'll use it. No, this is not where I want to go. I want to keep bottles and fragrances that I really love, that actually mean something. This doesn't mean anything to me because it doesn't smell very good, in my personal opinion. Just not working for me. So that is why I am going to be selling it. Obviously very disappointing because, hello Nim, disappointing blind buy. Top marks on the presentation, packaging, and even concept. I like the story behind it, you know, of Adonis and all of that kind of thing. But unfortunately, the scent is what it's all about, and it's not working out for me. So that one will be sold, unfortunately. So let's get on to the successful blind buys. I'm going to start the ones that I've had the longest, and it won't be exactly in order because I can't remember exactly when I got each thing, but I'm going to just try and end up with my most recent. And possibly my most successful blind buy. Let's start with one from Elie Saab. I got this one right at the beginning of when I first started collecting fragrance, so it's four or 5 years ago now. And it's called Couture. Couture. And I think this was starting to get discontinued even when I first bought it. Like back then, I think it was starting to disappear off the shelves. It's still in the box because this is a fragrance that discolors really easily. And if you can still buy this, you'll find that the juice is really dark brown. It's supposed to be a really pretty light green colour. Really pretty light green. I don't think mine's, I mean, I keep it in the box, like I say, I don't look at it very often. It's light brown, like a light amber, which is not bad because I just don't think you'll find them any lighter than that. It's such a shame because it's such a pretty light green colour when I got it. Don't really wear this one much now, but I still really like it. I think it's really, really pretty. So this is actually I think it's green almond, orange blossom. I can't remember the notes in this one. I don't think there's many notes. I'll give it a sniff actually. It's quite a sort of holiday sort of scent. For me, it's like a tropical Mediterranean, not tropical, it's like a Mediterranean fresh scent. The orange blossom is not overpowering, which is probably why I like it, but it's got a lot of that sort of green almond, which makes it smell almost like olives. I get like an olive nuance from this. It really reminds me of a fragrance called Frangipani from Ormond Jane. It's got a similar kind of vibe to that one. It's a really lovely scent. It's a shame it was discontinued. And this was my first experience of actually enjoying a white floral fragrance because it's got that almond, that sort of sweet but green almond nature. It's very kind of soft and creamy, but still fresh at the same time. It reminds me of being on a Mediterranean holiday. I just think it's really lovely, like an Italian, somewhere in Italy for some reason, I don't know. But that was probably one of my first successful blind buys. So that is Low Couture from Elie Saab. Really happy I've still got that. So this next fragrance is, I'm so pleased to have it, and I'm very lucky to have it because I know this is really sought after now. It's another one discontinued, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I can't stop sniffing this. I very rarely wear it because you can't get it anymore. Dancing Roses from the Viktor and Rolf Magic Collection. Now, when I got this, I think it was already starting to be discontinued from what I remember. So I'm really am pleased that I've got this. I remember sitting in my car because it just got delivered, and I got in my car and I opened it all up, and I was so nervous because I thought this was quite expensive, and I was so hoping to love this. And I opened it up and I sniffed it, and I literally my eyes rolled back in my head, and I was in love straight away. Lovely moment. I still remember it so well. It is like a syrupy, boozy rose. I think there's cherry in here. Was it brandy? Cherry brandy in here. It's really sweet. It's more about a cherry liquor scent rather than it being a rose scent. There is rose in here, but honestly, cherry brandy is the dominant, that is the most noticeable scent. Cherry brandy, so sweet, so delicious. And spicy. There's definitely something, I think it was pink pepper, mouth-wateringly delicious. For me, this is my sort of nectar. This is a very successful blind buy. Must start wearing it. I don't really go anywhere to enjoy it, so I start planning things, places, so I can start wearing these things. But yeah, absolutely love that one. And I believe it really was the standout in the whole line. Really the only one that stood out as something special. That is Dancing Roses. So this next one is one that's made many videos, a top 10 videos. It always comes up in my favourite rose fragrances, or favourite raspberry fragrances. And it's safe to say that it is probably one of the best successful blind buys I've ever had, because it is pretty much my signature fragrance at this point. So this is from Van Cleef and Arpels. This is Rouge. Why would I say Rouge? I'm really tired. I love the bottles on this line. They're very simple, very straightforward, understated, nothing too fancy, but I like that it is just that. Understated, clean lines, this little tag thing. I just find it so appealing. It's a similar story to this one. I got it delivered to my place at work, which is where I get everything delivered. I was sitting in my car, couldn't wait to rip into this and open it up and see what I'd bought, see what the outcome was going to be. Instantly fell in love with it. Again, it's just that syrupy, sweet, rose berry kind of a scent. It's quite a lot of patchouli and vetiver in this scent. Patchouli isn't usually my favourite. And it kind of has a similar profile as the likes of, say, something like Trésor from Lancome, that same berry, patchouli, rose thing. But where that one is quite a dirty patchouli, and this is like a refined fratuli scent. I like that the patchouli kind of balances a very, very sweet, syrupy raspberry rose in here. And it's easy to wear for me. It could be an evening scent because it has a kind of opulent kind of richness to it, but at the same time, there is a kind of very wearable, it's not too strong, it's quite wearable. So I find myself knowing I can reach for this whenever and just feeling like it's me. I feel myself in it, which is really important with fragrance. But this is one that really does that for me. And it's just obviously for that reason incredibly fortunate, successful that I purchased this. And it's obviously very special that it was a blind buy because it makes it that bit more, you know, lucky. It's my lucky scent. So that is Rouge. So next up we have a really fun designer scent for me, and it's one that I just reserved for springtime. Makes me think of April showers, springtime rain, and lots of florals. So this is from Burberry. This is my Burberry, and it's actually the EDT. So I did blind buy this. I had my Burberry Black at one point, which is much more heavy, fluffy sort of scent, and I liked it, but then I wasn't reaching for it, and I realised it wasn't me, that scent. It just didn't suit me. And the thing that I was really excited about in here was the note of sweet pea, and I love sweet peas. My dad loved sweet peas, and I've always wanted a sweet pea fragrance. And so I blind bought the EDT. I've never tried the EDP, but I really don't think I need to because I'm so fond of this scent profile. It makes me think of it's like a plastic. If you can imagine, it's kind of a plastic sweet pea. There is something plasticky in here, but not harsh. And not obviously plastic. It just gives me that sensation of wearing a Macintosh in the spring warm rain, and I think there's freesia, there's other flowers in here, but it's the sweet pea that I always focus on. It's like wearing a Macintosh in the rain, in the warm spring April shower rain. Got quite a dent there. I think this is actually a 50ml. I will get a bigger bottle. I will repurchase this when this is done. I almost wore this one today, but I ended up wearing my Harvey Ghost, which is they have a similar kind of thing going on. But that one has a bit more of a wispier, drier feel, which I fancy today. This one's more dewy, like I say. It gives me that imagination of being in the rain. So if it had been raining today, I would most definitely have worn it. And I love my rainy day scent. So this is a really great one for that. I just really enjoy it. So that was my Burberry EDT. Just making some room. So next I'm going to go with one from Lancome. Again, another sweet rose. See a bit of a pattern, a trend here with my sweet rose scents. And generally not always, because I'm going to try not to blind buy anymore, but I've always felt comfortable and fairly safe buying sweet rose kind of fragrances. This is Rose Peonia, Rose Peony. I blind bought this and I was absolutely over the moon with it because it was very similar to Holy Peony from Dior. But that one, there was a quality in that one that used to annoy me a little bit. And I sold that one and kept this one. So you might call this your typical shampoo-y sort of a scent, maybe. It's got that shampoo-y, it's got that shampoo-y rose that Delina's got. It's a similar rose as Delina, but it's not like Delina because it hasn't got all the other notes that go with it. This one has a really beautiful Turkish Delight rose. A really lovely, proper Turkish Delight rose, but it is a fresh scent and it smells kind of dewy and wet. So the berries, I think it is raspberry that's in here, they smell wet. It's really refreshing and dewy. And there's definitely a lot of sweetness in here as well. It's a very easy fragrance to wear. It's not groundbreaking. Like I say, it's like other things, but it's done in a way where it's nothing bugging me. There's no heavy musks in here. There's nothing too woody that's like patchouli that stops you from being able to wear it easily. I tend to wear it a lot in summer rather than any other month. It just seems to work, I think, best in summer for me. And that is that one. So that is Rose Peony. So the next three blind buys, I'm banging the same drum here. They're all going to be a very similar profile because this is just what I enjoy. They're going to be rose. They're going to be relatively sweet. They're going to be that style. Next, we're going to talk about one from Muglar called Nova, Angel Nova. I blind bought this one based on, again, me reading reviews about it being a little bit like Delina. I love the Angel EDT, And I love these. I've always loved the Angel bottles, absolutely obsessed with them. And it just sounded like something I was going to like. So when I first opened this up and sniffed it, it kind of took my head off a little bit. The pink pepper, which isn't listed, but I swear to you there's pink pepper in here. That's the most dominant thing. It was just right up my nose. But behind that, you get this big rose, lychee, sweet berry. There's slightly a tropical thing going on as well. It's very loud. You could call it obnoxious because it's quite harsh. It's quite a harsh blend. It is. I mean, not everyone likes this scent, but I find it fun. There's nothing in it that I don't like. It's just very loud. So I haven't had the opportunity to wear it very often. It's my choice if I was going to a summer party that's somewhere you're going to be drinking, I don't know, tropical drinks. It would be my choice for that because it's fun. It makes me happy. It makes you feel like you want to go and have a great evening and let your hair down. And it's of the scent profile that I really enjoy. Really enjoy that one. That's Angel Nova, another great blind buy. Next, let's talk about more of a fancy interpretation. I'm going to say it, the D word, the Delina word. I don't think it's trying to be Delina. I just think that it just happens to be of a very popular scent profile, and you can't help but compare it to a fragrance that has been so successful in that profile. This is from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, and this is called Blouse. I've always wished I could have got the bigger bottle of this because I could easily blast through this bottle if I wanted to, but it's quite expensive really for what it is. And it does stop me from reaching for it because of the fact that I don't want to use it up. But I feel like it's a fancier, slightly more refined, slightly crisper version of Delina. It's not got the same notes. It has a note of Angelica. It gives it this kind of green, slightly sour edge. It's definitely a garden rose, green rose in here. But there's something fuzzy. There's something fuzzy. Maybe like an iris in here or something, giving it that drier, fluffy edge. It's very, very classy. It feels very prim and proper. It has that sort of pink rosy feel. There's a slightly flirty side to it as well. That is Blouse. Really, really pretty. Really love that one. And honestly, that was quite a safe blind buy for me because of the fact, like I say, from what I'd read and heard about it, it was typically that pretty kind of rose scent that I really enjoy. So Blouse, really beautiful. So another rose scent before I change course. This is so nice. Okay, so this one was launched. This is from the house of Chanel. Now, Chanel is not a house I easily buy fragrances from. In fact, normally I avoid Chanel because generally I get the same kind of vibe from, you know, all the aldehydes and that kind of style. I always forget the name of this line of fragrance in Chanel. The latest launch from them was Paris that came out last year. And this was their rose. This was their rose offering from that line. So already my ears were pricked as soon as I heard that. So it was a case of finding out which kind of rose it was going to be, what were they going to put with the rose, how was it going to be. And it sounded beautiful. It sounded crisp and fresh and classy. This reminds me a lot of Le Col Noir from Dior. But it does also have the same style of patchouli, oak moss as Gris Dior. So if you've smelt those two fragrances, imagine combining them both. This is what you'd have. If you had pink lemonade and you had, say, the lemon leaves, like the leaves of the lemon tree, flowing around in your drink, give a bit of a woodiness, give a bit of that authentic taste of the tree. That's kind of what it reminds me of. It's just a very, very beautiful, fresh rose patchouli kind of scent with that beautiful, classy Chanel personality, that kind of aldehyde snap. It's very timeless, it's very beautiful, and that was a very successful blind buy. So next we're going to go with one from Kilian, and it is I Don't Need a Princess by My Side to Be a Princess. We'll just say princess. I think most people do anyway. Now, when this was in the previous bottle design, I didn't have any interest in sampling it. I'm so influenced by the bottle. It may sound superficial. It's just the way it is. I feel like if you're going to spend money on a fragrance, it's the whole experience which makes it special. I want to enjoy reaching for the bottle as much as I want to spray it. And those dome bottles were hideous to me. I just really don't like them at all. So I wasn't interested in even sampling. It just didn't, you know, there's nothing that's attracting me to it. And then when I saw they'd redesigned the bottle, I was like, oh, well, that's actually quite nice. I quite like that now. I fancy smelling it. It is what it is. What can you do? And actually, this bottle, it's not as expensive as the other ones in the range. This is, I think it's 75 ml. It's the same stock bottle as you see all the other ones in. It's a lot cheaper. It's a much more affordable fragrance from the house. It's a matcha marshmallow fragrance. I find it comes off really earthy, which I really like. I think that matcha gives it a kind of an earthy green tea feeling. And there is marshmallow in here, so it's sweet. It's actually quite soft. It's the powder of a marshmallow, but it's, imagine the powder of a marshmallow, that sugary powder, mixed with matcha tea, powdered matcha tea. It's the powdery feeling from it. And it's very Moorish. And I'm just really happy to have that. I reach for it easily. I'm not reaching it for the moment because it's spring. It's nice, it's cozy in the winter. I like it in the winter. Sort of semi-sweet, cozy winter evening, slightly gourmand, easy approachable fragrance. Really enjoy that one. So this next fragrance represents a phase that I've noticed I go through every now and again. I'll find a fragrance that's not as same as what I normally would get. It just steps out of my usual style. This whirlwind love affair, and I'll hit it hard and I'll just be obsessed with it, and I'll suddenly stop. And that'll be it. This next fragrance represents that. It's a Tonka heavy fragrance. It's from BDK and it's called Velvet Tonka. Now, I do love a marzipan scent. I do love, and I think this is as close as I've got so far as a proper marzipan-y scent. It's not proper marzipan, by the way. Not to me, but it's close. I just really fancied something that was marzipan-y and tonkery. I found it on a website that it wasn't actually in the UK. I can't remember where I bought it from now, but it was a very good price. And it just felt right. It just felt like the right purchase at the time. I didn't actually like it at first. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It comes off very medicinal. It's tonkery, slightly medicinal marzipan-y scent. And if you try and sniff it up close, if you overanalyze it, it doesn't smell great. Synthetic, very synthetic smelling. And it can seem a little scratchy, a little unfinished perhaps. And it feels like it's lacking something because it's very simple. It doesn't really change. If you just forget about it and just let it do its thing, for me anyway, I just get this beautiful, lingering, soft, approachable, mouth-wateringly satisfying scent that is, it comes off more marzipan-y in the sillage, you know, in its trail. So when you move around, you get this lovely waft of it. But that's a hell of it. That's the biggest scent I've ever put in. And this is a 100ml bottle, okay? How much has actually gone? This is 40 mils of that is gone. So I wore that intensely. I don't want to wear it anymore, probably not until the end of the year. So that is my ode to having a marzipan fragrance. That is lovely Velvet Tonka. So February and March for me are all about cozy gourmands, and I really was hitting the dark vanilla. I had the Elie Royal Vanilla Sugar Patchouli. I really love that scent. I love Baby Cat from YSL. Again, another sort of dark vanilla that's slightly edgy. And that led me to the next fragrance, which is Sand Dance from Stephen Humbert Lucas. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of the bottles. I don't like most of them in the other colours. I do love this brown one though. I don't know why. For me, it really does work. I mean, it looks lighter on the camera. It's actually a darker brown. It looks like chocolate or something. But I love the sound of this, and you just cannot get samples of this one. You can't really get samples of a lot of these. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. You can get samples of most of these. The thrill of blind buying is the thrill of blind buying. With this one, I couldn't get a sample. I would rather have sampled it first because it was not a cheap fragrance. I liked the idea of it being this Irish cream whiskey liqueur drink, gourmand style. Now, I've heard it being compared to Black Phantom from Kilian. If you know Black Phantom, then you'll probably find that scent in this. It goes into a dry whiskey direction, whereas Black Phantom is much more syrupy, gloopy almost, like sweet condensed milk. That's what Black Phantom reminds me of. Toothachingly sweet. This one is more smoky, not as sweet at all. I find it softer. It's so lovely. I definitely get the whiskey, tobacco, whiskey, vanilla. Really Moorish, boozy, slightly smoky, dark vanilla scent. Nothing about it that I dislike. Really happy with Sand Dance. So that is that one. So I'm ending with my piece de la resistance. Oh Oh God. So I'm saving the best for last. This is a very recent blind buy. In fact, I got this only a few days ago. And really, it's what's prompted me to want to talk about my blind buys, but then build up to this one. So this is why I am here talking about all of these. This was discontinued a few years ago. This is French Kiss from Guerlain, and this is part of the line Elixir Charnel. It says French Kiss there. So I was very fortunate to find this on eBay. It doesn't come with the box, unfortunately, but it was full up. It was full up. So much I've used already. Now, this is a lipstick centric scent, at least that is how it's marketed. It's basically a lipstick. It's very, very sweet lipstick scent. It gets compared to the likes of, I'm annoyed that the camera will not pick up how pretty the bottle and the juice is. So we've got the likes of Lipstick Rose from Frederic Malle, a scent called Lipstick On, or there was, from Maison Margiela. There's also Missia from Chanel. There's a lot of these classic vintage lipstick rose violet style fragrances. Closest I think it smells that I've tried is Lipstick On from Maison Margiela. Both of these have a much sweeter, more youthful, more pink berry forward personality. I also had Rose Cherie from Guerlain, which was supposedly meant to be the next interpretation of French Kiss. There was a quality which I didn't like, and it was that baby wipe quality which I just couldn't get past. It doesn't smell like Rose Cherie. It's got a similar feeling. Like Rose Cherie was also quite almondy. This one is all about the sweet berries, which is far more up my street. I get a 1950s vibe, but not vintage. It's more a young girl in the 1950s trying on lipstick, or trying on more like lip gloss. It's not a dry lipstick scent. This is a lip gloss. This is more like a real sweet berry cherry lip gloss. It has that Guerlain slightly soft powdery vanilla side to it. I just love it. I'm so connected to it. So I wear this, I just feel so feminine and pretty. Obviously it's raised the bar for how a fragrance, I guess, should make you feel, and it puts into perspective many others that I have. It reaffirms my decisions I've been making lately, my very brutal, harsh decisions on how many I've decluttered and sold. That's a whole other topic for another video, and I hope this one isn't going to be too long, actually. So I've ended on this beautiful discontinued gem of a unicorn of a fragrance. That's French Kiss by Guerlain. Over the moon to have this. Wish it wasn't discontinued. I would definitely keep purchasing it. All my most successful blind buys are right here in this shot. There's a few, but honestly, this probably is about 15% of all the blind buys I've ever had. So there's a lot that didn't work out. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching as always, and I shall see you on my next one. Take care, over and out.